Greetings! In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. It's going to be more of a casual chat about this really awesome new palette design from Schminke. I've mentioned this palette a few times already in previous watercolor news segments, and I was really excited to get to try it eventually. I was finally able to purchase one, and we're going to take a look at it. I've already talked about the paints in the set. These are the Schminke Academy paints. I've made a few videos about these. I'll include links in the description. But yeah, the paints have been talked about a lot, so I don't feel like I have anything new to say about the paints, but I have a lot to say about the palette. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a bit more casual. It's basically going to be like a tour of this palette. It is quite a unique palette from Schminke, and its main feature is that it is a plastic palette, but pretty much in the same design that you would get a metal palette. So you open it up, open the flap, and you have a tray with your paints on it. And then under the tray, more mixing space. Just like that, it doesn't look like it's anything special, but actually it is quite special. This format of palette is only available as a metal tin usually. Having a travel palette in plastic like this is quite a great feature because it is a bit lighter, technically. It is something that will not rust for the plastic bit. This palette is plastic, so it's possible that it will stain. In fact, it probably will at some point. But metal palettes also stain, and they are the closest in comparison to this plastic palette, so I don't feel like, in this case, when comparing the metal palette with the plastic palette, I don't think that there's any real difference when it comes to how easily these surfaces stain and the material they're made of. The one material that doesn't stain is ceramic or perhaps glass, but enameled metal and plastic both stain, so they're the same on that level. The palette itself, it is designed to be quite flat when you open it, which is awesome. Most metal palettes, this flap is usually at an angle or is, you know, sort of straight but holding on to nothing, like it's in the air, while this one is resting on the table. It is not perfectly flat, but it is, you know, it is flat enough, I would say. Now the lid is completely flat, so that's great. Then you have this tray. The tray is a metal tray. It has been painted white. Now, when I got this palette, I saw the delivery person bring it in and I saw them drop it on the concrete path to this place. So yeah, when I opened up the palette, it was in a bit of a state of disarray. Now, I was able to pop this back in. I'm pretty sure I could pop it back out, but I don't really want to right now. It is a really nicely made little tray. Of course, the fact that it's metal is, to me, a bit annoying. It is probably the material the most suited to this purpose, but its main flaw, rusting, is still problematic. Now, I don't know if these could be made in a metal that doesn't rust. I don't know if that's an option, but at least for this one, this particular one, it is painted white, so that offers a bit of protection, especially here, if you can see the way the flaps touch the pans. Usually that's where most of the problems with rust happen. Now, since this metal is painted, there's a little bit less chance of that happening. But yeah, so fully painted white. This tray also has the really interesting feature of being able to accommodate a full row of pans in the middle. And since these fit like this, you could probably fit a full pan in there. This is a generic full pan, and it fits, and it even has a bit of room to move, so you might need to attach these, the extra pans in the middle. An option would be to get those pans that have the magnets embedded at the bottom. You can find these in half pan or full pans, and it's a good magnet. Like these, they won't budge. So that's definitely a good way to take this palette from its intended capacity at 18 half pans, so 9 on each side. You could have a 9 more in the middle, so that would be 27, or you could have 5 full pans in here, so that would be 23 colors, right? 18 plus 5. So I've talked a bit about the main elements of this palette. One other thing that I think most people will be interested to know is that the mixing areas don't seem to be that hydrophobic, I think, like water repellent, meaning that the paints don't really bead on them. And chances are that the more you use them, the better they will get with paint. So that's really cool. I really like the way it's set up. I like how the welds are made. It's really nice thick plastic. It's about 2 millimeters thick in all places that I can measure. So I think that's really cool. The way it closes up, it's just like this. The lid rests on this hinge. Now, it doesn't clap really well. As you can see, like it's quite, it's not, you know, the best closure I've seen. And since this is not metal, you can't really bend it so it closes better. And another thing that I noticed, and you maybe have noticed too, is that this plastic box will attract pet hairs like there's no tomorrow. For me, it's cats, and yeah, like I always have to remove cat hairs from it, or, you know, dust. So that might be a bit of an issue. Otherwise, it is really nice. Now, I have a regular metal schminke pan that houses 12 half pans or 6 full pans. There's not really any room in the middle to fit more in here, so that's kind of what this set is about. I also have their palette for 18 half pans. Again, no really any space between the trays for more, but it is technically the same capacity as the plastic palette. So what I want to do is remove all the paints and then weigh each palette to see if this one is significantly lighter or not. I am noticing a few things with the tray here. So generally the Schminke trays are sharp on the edges. This one has this border that comes up. The border is still sharp, but it comes up. It's not straight the edges. And then if you look at the way the rail is made, they're really not made in the same way. I don't know if you can see, but this here, this side is much higher. So the pens are perhaps a bit difficult to take out. And then the flap at the back of the bracket thing is much longer, where here the flap is shorter. I'm not entirely sure why there is that difference here, but it's the only thing that I noticed that's really noticeably different. This one is also like unfinished edges, and the tray is similarly like lower in the front and has a slightly smaller flap in the back. I think you can see this one, a bit of the rusting issue with these. Like here, I think this is rust. And if the paint, the watercolor paint in the pan is in contact with this, the rust will propagate to the pan and it will mess up your paint. I have my 3 tins here. I have my small scale here. I'm going to weigh these in gram. It's already set to grams. So, all right, I'm tearing it to 0. All good. So let's start with this one. So 12 half pan Schminke metal tin. So for this one we have 112 grams dot 4. So just a tiny bit under 4 ounces, or a quarter of a pound. Anyway, so 112 grams for this one. The bigger one for 18 half pans. Okay. Slightly heavier at 171.7 grams. That's about 50% heavier than this one, just about ish. Finally, this one. This one is 141.9 grams. So it is not actually lighter than the small one, but also it is bigger. Like if you look at it, it is a larger palette. Now, the other one that is meant to have the same capacity, this one is just a little bit heavier. The lightest of the palettes is the smaller metal one with room for 12 half pans. Then we have the plastic palette with planned room for 18 half pans, but that can actually accommodate 27 half pans. And then we have the heaviest of these 3 palettes, which is the metal palette for 18 half pans. So is the plastic palette a significantly lighter palette? Not all that much. especially if you load it up with the maximum number of paints you can put in there. The paints are going to be quite heavy and they're going to weigh this down. So its main feature wouldn't be the fact that it's lighter. I don't think that's that much of a difference. It's about 30 grams with this larger palette, 30 grams lighter. Now, if I weigh it, a half pan that's quite new is about 3.8 grams. So 30 grams is quite a significant number of pans, but at the same time, you can fit 9 extra pans in the plastic palette. If these two had their full half pan load in there, so 18 half pan for the metal palette and 27 half pan for the plastic palette, because we can put some in the middle, they would be about the same weight. The 18 half pans that are in the trays would be the same, and then the extra 9 half pans in the middle would bring the weight of this palette to just about the same as this one. So I gotta say, I'm not entirely sure if there's a real benefit to this plastic palette aside the storage capacity. I mean, it's a great palette. I really love it. I'm glad I have it. I will use it. I will love it. It's going to be one of my go-to palette, I'm fairly sure. But comparing this palette with the other palettes now, I'm left wondering if there's really that much of a difference. I think the main difference would be the capacity of this one, because like size for size, it is not really that much bigger, if at all. It's a different ratio, of course, but it's not much, larger. And also this one is taller, so it kind of balances it out. It's a bit thicker, as you can see, because I think you have to go a bit thicker with the plastic than you have to do with the metal. Like the metal would be more resilient as a thinner sheet than the plastic would be. But these things aside, I kind of feel like this one is a better deal, in my opinion. For my tastes, the metal palette are a bit annoying. This one, you can see, like, this doesn't lay flat. Of course, it's metal, so you can bend it. But this is made to be at an angle, which is really annoying when painting. With this one, the tray has a more clever design where it's still at a slight angle, but not that much. And at least it has like this rim all around that will help with any kind of water spillage or paint spillage. This one also has this trim, but it's open on the sides. So, and it also, this one stands out straight. So it's okay that it's straight, but also if you pick up some paint and you release it and everything bounces around, like it's not, these two are not as stable or as efficient for mixing paint and having, wet paint on your palette. And I feel like this plastic palette is really efficient and really well made. And like all the other palettes, you have this feature where you can take this off and use this extra mixing space. I haven't seen a lot of people do that, but it's there. And in this case, it's nice and it's well designed. The areas are well defined. These two, they're made to be flat at the bottom, but a lot of the more generic palettes will have the wells at the bottom. I know a lot of people usually just take this tray out and have the paints at the bottom of the tin. In the case of this palette, I don't think that's all that necessary, since you can fit just about the same number of paint in the tray. And the tray is really nice. It's nice to be able to remove it, because that way you can take this whole thing and pass it under the faucet if you need to wash your palette. The hinges seem to be plastic, so I don't know how resilient they would be, like if you drop this palette. But it seems to be really well made, so here's hoping. For the metal palettes, the hinges work with a long metal rod that is inserted in here. And that's quite a sturdy and long-lasting way to deal with this. But again, things can happen. It can rust. I've seen some of the metal balls just fall out of the of the hinge, so your hinge just breaks apart. And yeah, all in all, I feel like this palette, for the price it is sold at, is a really awesome set. This would be such a great gift for someone who is getting into watercolor paints, because the Schmincke Academy paints are really good. They're student grade paint, but one of the best student grade paint. So anyone who is starting and would receive this set wouldn't be disappointed by what the paints can or cannot do. The color selection is also really good. You have your magenta, your cyan, your yellow. You also have like a red and a warm blue, and then a couple of convenience colors and earth hues to round this up. And I think that's fairly nice. I had a pan of Naples yellow from this range, so I thought I would just add it in, but it's definitely not a color that is necessary to this selection. It's just, it was there, so why not? I think this is a really, really good set. Its only flaw right now, really, in terms of, acquiring this set, is the availability of said set. On Canadian Amazon, it retails for over $100, which makes no sense. Don't pay that much for this palette. That's silly. If you can find it for something that is closer to its suggested retail price, which is around $30-$40, depending on your currency, I think that's worth it. It is a palette that has so much room for you to grow with this palette and to really enjoy using it for a long time. Hopefully you can add a lot of paints to it. You can add whatever kind of paints you want to it, because the trays will accommodate a bunch of various types of pans and various brands of pans, and it is quite a nice compact palette. Perhaps the only thing that might be an addition that comes from outside of this product is just an elastic band. It kind of looks like the plastic marks a bit easily. I'm not sure though, perhaps it's just the packaging that I got that had a bit of glue on it and it's picked up a bit of dust, so it's more visible now. But again, plastic is fairly easy to maintain, so I don't really see an issue with that. I know that I can wash it with soap. It's gonna be fine, and it's not gonna rust, and it's not gonna degrade. So, yep, a really good palette. I recommend it. Oh, I forgot to mention, but it has a thumb ring at the bottom too. Let me know in the comments what you think of this palette. I would love to read your thoughts. Is it the palette that you're interested in acquiring? Is it a palette that you've acquired and tried, and did you like it? Did you not like it? Any issues, any concerns? If you guys come up with a lot of questions, I might do a bit of a follow-up to answer your questions to the best of my abilities. But yep, I'm very happy to finally try this palette. I was super excited for it, so yay. Thank you, Schminke, for creating this lovely palette. They didn't send it to me. I had to acquire it on my own. And thanks to you guys, actually, since a few of you have used my affiliate links on Amazon, I was able to get this. So yay. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day and see you all in the next one. Bye bye.